Every single one of us has a moment, a turning point, where a single choice, a single decision determines the direction of our entire life. Think about it. Your destiny doesn't shift when the world changes around you. It shifts the very moment you decide. One decision can ignite courage. One decision can break chains. One decision can unlock the life you've been dreaming about but never dared to claim. Most people underestimate the power of their own choices. They think decisions are small, casual, something they'll get around to someday. But decisions shape destiny. And the truth is, it's not the conditions of your life that define you. It's the decisions you make when those conditions test you. You can't control the wind, but you can decide how to set your sails. You can't control what others do to you, but you can decide what you'll do with it. That's where freedom lies. The most powerful people in history didn't come from perfect circumstances. They came from decisive moments. They said, this is who I am. This is what I will no longer tolerate. This is what I'm moving toward, no matter what. And in that instant, their lives transform, because the moment you decide, really decide, not wish, not hope, not try, but decide with every fiber of your being, the universe bends to that choice. Think about your own life. There's a decision waiting for you right now. Maybe it's the decision to let go of excuses. Maybe it's to rise after failure instead of hiding from it. Maybe it's to step up, to finally own your worth, to go after that dream that's been sitting in your soul for years. Whatever it is, stop postponing your power. Life changes in a moment, the moment you decide, and here's the truth, indecision is still a decision. Every day you delay, every time you hesitate, you've already chosen to stay the same. But greatness doesn't come from staying the same. It comes from the boldness of making a choice, even when you're afraid. Fear is always there, but courage is nothing more than deciding that something else matters more than fear. Every single day, every single moment, we are faced with decisions. Most of them look small, almost invisible, like whispers in the background of life. But don't be fooled. Those whispers, those little choices, those moments where you decide what you will do, what you will believe, what you will focus on, they are shaping your entire destiny. It's never the lack of resources. It's never the lack of opportunity. It's never the lack of luck. It's always the lack of decision. Because when you decide, when you lock into a choice with absolute certainty, you don't wait for resources, you create them. You don't wait for opportunity, you knock the damn door down. You don't wait for luck, you become the force that others call lucky. You see, human beings are not defined by their environment. We are defined by our decisions in the face of that environment. Two people can grow up in the same house, under the same roof, with the same struggles, the same pain. One person decides, this is the end. Life is cruel, I'll never make it. The other decides, this will not be my story. I'll take this pain and make it my power. And that single decision carves two completely different destinies. Not because of what they went through, but because of what they chose in response. Think about it, every hero you've ever admired, every leader who's ever shifted the course of history, every innovator who's changed the way we live, they all reached a moment where they made a decision that others weren't willing to make. Martin Luther King Jr. decided that his dream mattered more than his fear. Oprah decided that her past would not define her future. Elon Musk decided that the impossible was worth betting everything on. These aren't accidents. These are decisions. And those decisions shaped reality. But here's the part that most people miss. Decisions are not just made once. They are made daily, hourly, minute by minute. You decide what to focus on when you wake up. You decide whether to move forward or sit back. You decide whether to live by fear or by faith. And every one of those choices stacks up to create momentum. Momentum is power. Momentum is the force that either pulls you toward your highest potential or drags you back into mediocrity. And it's all built on decision. The quality of your life is the quality of your decisions. If your life isn't where you want it to be, it's not because life is unfair. It's not because you didn't get the chance. It's because somewhere along the way, you made decisions to play small, to wait, to delay, to doubt. And here's the gift. You can change it all today. You don't need permission. You don't need someone to rescue you. You don't need the world to align in your favor. You need one thing, a decision. But let me be real with you. A true decision is not a wish. It's not, I hope this happens. It's not, I'll try. The word try has no power. A decision is when you cut off every other option. That's what the word literally means, to cut off. When you truly decide, you eliminate the possibility of going back. You create a new standard for yourself. You say, this is who I am now. This is the line I will not cross. This is the future I claim. That's the kind of decision that changes everything. Think about the times in your own life when you really decided. Maybe it was the decision to leave a toxic relationship. Maybe it was the decision to pursue a career that terrified you but lit you up. Maybe it was the decision to change your body, to change your health, to change your mindset. The moment you really decided, your life shifted. It may not have been instant results, but you felt it. The ground under your feet was different. The path ahead was new. And everything in your body screamed, this is the way forward. That's the power of decision. And don't tell me you don't have that power. Don't tell me you're stuck. Don't tell me you can't. You've made decisions before that changed your world. You've done it when you fell in love. You've done it when you took a risk. You've done it when you overcame something you thought would break you. The problem is not that you lack power. The problem is that you've forgotten how powerful your decisions really are. So why do so many people hesitate? Why do so many people sit on the edge of greatness but never leap? It's fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But let me tell you something, fear is a liar. Fear tells you that staying safe will keep you alive. But the truth is, staying safe kills you slowly. It robs you of your fire, your growth, your purpose. The antidote to fear is decision. Because once you decide, fear loses its grip. Fear feeds on hesitation, but it starves when you move forward with certainty. Look around at the people who are thriving, the ones you look up to. They're not fearless. They feel fear like everyone else. The difference is they decided that something else mattered more. They decided that their dream was worth the risk. They decided that their future was more important than their past. They decided that the pain of regret was greater than the pain of failure. And that's why they live lives others only dream about. Now, some of you are waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until you feel ready, waiting until the stars align. Let me shatter that illusion right now. There is no perfect moment. Readiness is a myth. You don't get ready and then decide. You decide, and that decision makes you ready. That's how transformation works. You don't wait for certainty. You create certainty through commitment. And here's the wild thing: when you decide, the world responds. Doors open. People show up. Opportunities you never saw suddenly appear. It feels like magic, but it's not magic. It's alignment. It's momentum. It's the universe rewarding your courage. But you'll never feel that if you're stuck on the fence. Indecision is a prison. Decision is freedom. I've seen people who lived decades stuck in cycles of pain, addiction, depression. And I've seen those same people turn everything around in a single moment because they decided they'd had enough. They decided never again. I will not live this way anymore. And in that moment, their physiology changed, their posture changed, their energy changed, because the human spirit is waiting for one thing: to be commanded by decision. But don't confuse decision with preference. Saying, I'd like to be happy, I'd like to be fit, I'd like to be successful is not a decision, it's a wish list. A decision is when you commit to it no matter what, when you burn the boats and leave yourself no way back. It's when you turn your shoulds into musts. Because when something becomes a must, you'll find a way. You'll break through walls. You'll crawl through the mud. You'll do whatever it takes. But when it's just a should, you'll procrastinate, you'll rationalize, you'll settle. The difference between a must and a should is the difference between a dream and a reality. So right now, in this very moment, ask yourself, what decision have I been avoiding? What choice have I been putting off that I know deep down would change everything? Is it the decision to finally believe in myself? Is it the decision to stop playing small? Is it the decision to step into the arena, to risk, to go after the life I know I was meant to live? That decision is waiting. And the only thing standing between you and it is the story you keep telling yourself. You tell yourself you're not ready. You tell yourself you don't have the resources. You tell yourself it's not the right time. But those are lies. The truth is, you are one decision away from a completely different life. One decision away from a different career. One decision away from a different relationship. One decision away from a different level of energy, joy, fulfillment. One choice can change everything. And let me push you further. What if today was that day? What if this moment right here was the line in the sand where you decided no more excuses, no more hesitation, no more waiting? What if today you said, this is the day I choose to rise, the day I choose to commit, the day I choose to live fully? Can you feel the power of that? Can you imagine looking back 1 year from now, 5 years from now, and saying, that was the day my life changed. That was the decision that started it all. That power is in your hands right now, because the truth is your decisions are the steering wheel of your life. You can drift. You can let life push you around. You can let fear drive. But if you take the wheel and decide with conviction, you can go anywhere. You can create anything. You can transform everything. And remember, you don't need to know the whole path. You don't need to see every step ahead. You just need to decide on the destination, decide on the standard, decide on the life you refuse to live without. Once you make that decision, the path begins to appear. But it will only appear for the committed, never for the hesitant. So decide. Decide to break free. Decide to grow. Decide to rise. Decide to love. Decide to believe. Decide to fight for your dreams. Decide to live with passion, with courage, with fire. Because the moment you decide, everything else shifts. And that's the power that will carry you to the life you were made for. Most people go through life thinking their future is dictated by circumstances, by what's happening around them, by what they were born into. But the truth is, every circumstance you're in today was built from a chain of decisions you made yesterday. And every circumstance you will face tomorrow will come from the decisions you make right now. That's how much power you already hold. But because most people don't realize this, they give away that power. They hand it over to fear, to doubt, to the opinions of others. And in doing so, they forget that destiny is not something you wait for. It's something you decide into existence. When I say decision, I'm not talking about casual choices like what shirt to wear or what to have for breakfast. Although even those decisions, compounded over time, create habits that shape your life. I'm talking about decisions that demand commitment. Decisions that demand that you draw a line in the sand and say, from this moment forward, I will not go back. I will not settle. I will not play small anymore. That's the decision that turns ordinary into extraordinary. Think of someone you admire, someone you look at and say, how did they get there? How did they build that life? How did they create that impact? I promise you, it wasn't just talent. It wasn't just luck. It wasn't even just persistence. It was a decision. They decided that they would not live in mediocrity. They decided that no matter how many times they failed, they would rise again. They decided that their vision was non-negotiable. And because of that decision, they pulled resources, strategies, opportunities into their life that would never have shown up if they'd stayed undecided. But here's what makes decisions so powerful. It's not just the action you take after, it's who you become in the act of deciding. When you truly decide, your identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone who might try. You see yourself as someone who will. That identity pulls you toward new standards, new behaviors, new outcomes. It rewires what you tolerate, what you demand, what you expect. That's why one decision can change everything. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you become. And don't think you have to wait for rock bottom to make a decision. Yes, sometimes it takes pain to wake us up. Sometimes it takes heartbreak, loss, or failure to shake us into action. But you don't have to wait for that. You can decide from vision instead of desperation. You can decide because you're hungry for growth, because you know you're capable of more, because you're done living below your potential. That's a more powerful place to decide from, because it comes from strength, not just survival. Let me give you a truth most people don't want to hear. Indecision is the thief of destiny. Every time you hesitate, every time you second guess, every time you postpone, you're handing over another piece of your future. Life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't wait. And time sure as hell doesn't wait. The people who create extraordinary lives aren't the ones who always have the best plan. They're the ones who make the damn decision and then figure it out along the way. They jump and then they grow wings on the way down. And you might say, but what if I make the wrong decision? Let me tell you something. You cannot steer a parked car. If you're moving, if you're making decisions, even if you get it wrong, you can adjust, you can correct, you can learn. But if you never move, you never grow. The wrong decision made with full commitment will take you further than the right decision you never had the courage to act on. Because progress comes from motion, not perfection. Every breakthrough I've seen in people's lives has started with a decision. I've seen someone decide to stop drinking after 20 years of addiction, and in that instant, their whole world shifted. I've seen someone decide to leave a soul-crushing job, and within months, they were living with energy and passion they didn't even know they had. I've seen people decide to forgive, to let go of anger they carried for decades, and suddenly their health, their relationships, their joy exploded in ways no doctor, no therapist, no external force could have ever engineered. That's the power of decision. But I also want to warn you, there is a difference between deciding and dabbling. Dabbling is when you say, I'll give it a try, I'll see how it goes. I'll do it if it's easy. That's not a decision, that's hesitation disguised as effort. True decision is all in. True decision says, I don't care how hard it gets. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care who doubts me. This is done. That level of commitment is rare, but it's the key to every extraordinary life. So what are you deciding today? Will you decide to keep living in the same patterns, making the same excuses, settling for the same results? Or will you decide to step into something bigger, to demand more from yourself, to chase the life you know you're capable of living? That's not a question of fate. It's a question of decision. And here's what's beautiful. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't need the approval of your parents, your friends, your boss, or society. The only permission you need is your own. You give yourself permission to decide. You break chains. You unleash energy you didn't even know was inside you. You tap into a force that can move mountains. There's a reason people who decide with conviction feel unstoppable. It's because decision creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Most people are waiting for confidence to decide, but it works the other way around. Confidence comes from action, and action comes from decision. Decide first, and confidence will follow. I want you to picture something right now. Imagine it's 5 years from today. Imagine you're looking back at this very moment. And in one version of your life, you hesitated. You let fear dictate. You delayed. You told yourself you'd do it later. And 5 years passed and nothing really changed. Now imagine the other version. You decided. You cut off every excuse. You committed. You took action. You built momentum. And 5 years later, Your entire life is unrecognizable in the best way. Which version do you want to live? Because the only difference between them is the decision you make right now. And don't underestimate small decisions either. Sometimes it's not the big, dramatic choice that changes everything. It's the daily decision to show up, to give more, to keep going when you don't feel like it. Those small decisions stack, they build resilience, they build identity, they build a future. Every giant leap forward is made possible by 1,000 small steps that began with simple, consistent decisions. So decide today to live with passion. Decide today to stop tolerating less than you deserve. Decide today to love fully, to risk boldly, to give generously, to fight for your dreams. Decide today that you will not look back with regret, that you will not let fear write your story. Decide today that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are ready. Because the truth is, the moment you decide, everything begins to shift. When you were a kid, you didn't second guess yourself. You didn't hesitate. You didn't sit there analyzing every move. If you wanted something, you reached for it. If you fell down, you got back up. You didn't call it failure, you called it play. You decided instinctively that life was meant to be lived fully. Somewhere along the way, though, you were taught to be careful, to play safe, to sit still, to stop taking risks. Somewhere along the way, you forgot the boldness of your decisions is what creates the richness of your life. And now here you are, with dreams inside you, with potential burning in your veins, with possibilities stretching out in front of you, but none of it becomes real until you decide. Because dreams without decisions are fantasies. They sound good, they feel good, but they don't build anything. Decisions turn dreams into plans and plans into reality. The truth is, indecision is more painful than failure. Think about it. When you fail, at least you know. You learn, you adjust, you grow. But when you sit in indecision, you're stuck in a constant loop of what if? What if I had tried? What if I had gone for it? What if I had believed in myself? That loop drains your energy, steals your joy, and keeps you trapped in a prison of potential never realized. But when you decide, you break that cycle. Even if you stumble, even if you fall, you're moving forward. You're learning, you're expanding, you're alive. That's why bold decisions create bold lives. They pull you out of stagnation and into momentum. And here's something most people never consider. Your decisions don't just shape your life, they shape the lives of everyone around you. When you decide to step up, when you decide to break patterns, when you decide to rise, you give permission for others to do the same. You become an example, a spark, a living reminder of what's possible. Think about parents who decide to break generational cycles, who decide to love differently, to live differently, to create differently. That decision echoes for generations. One choice can ripple through time in ways you'll never fully see. That's how powerful you are. So let me ask you, what are you tolerating right now that a single decision could end? What excuses are you carrying that a single decision could destroy? What dream is gathering dust inside you that a single decision could bring to life? Don't underestimate it. Don't tell yourself it's small, because I promise you that one decision could be the turning point, the spark that sets your entire world on fire. Now, I know some of you are waiting for more money, waiting for more support, waiting for the perfect moment. But life doesn't reward waiting. Life rewards courage. Resources flow to the committed. Help shows up for those who move. Momentum builds for those who dare. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for someone else to hand you permission. Decide first, and the rest will follow. And let me remind you of this: decisions made from fear will shrink your life. Decisions made from vision will expand it. Every time you make a decision based on fear, you teach yourself to settle, to contract, to live smaller. But every time you decide from vision, you expand your world. You train yourself to rise. You expand your capacity for courage, for creativity, for impact. When you look back at your life, you won't remember the moments you played it safe. You'll remember the decisions where you went all in. You'll remember when you risked, when you leaped, when you decided to bet on yourself. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that make life worth living. So decide with fire, decide with conviction, decide that you will not leave this earth with your song still inside you. Decide that you will not settle for a life of good enough when you're capable of greatness. Decide that you will not let fear dictate your future. Decide that you will rise, that you will fight, that you will give everything you have to the life you were born to live. Because one decision, one real, powerful, committed decision can change everything. So here's the truth you cannot escape. Life doesn't change when the calendar flips, when the economy shifts, or when someone finally gives you the green light. Life changes in the moment you decide. The power has been in you all along, waiting for you to claim it. One choice can rewrite your story. One decision can break the cycle. One moment of courage can create a future that generations after you will thank you for. Don't walk out of this moment and go back to old patterns. Don't let fear drag you back into hesitation. Stand up inside yourself right now and declare it. This is my time. This is my life. This is the moment I decide. Because the truth is simple. Your destiny is not written in your circumstances. It is written in your decisions. And the decision you make today will echo for the rest of your life.